What happens when a CEO steps into his own kitchen and sees a cook hiding a bleeding hand just to keep his job? Landon Foster stood in the back of his SUV, pulling on the black cap and gray apron that matched the kitchen crew uniform. He glanced in the mirror once more. The fake beard helped. The glasses did too. But it was the 20-pound weight gain over the past few months that made him truly unrecognizable. 16 fast casual restaurants across 3 states. Built from the ground up over the last 11 years. Landon had started with 1 spot and a single burger recipe. Now he had over 300 employees, but something had been eating at him. He'd been getting calls from district managers about high turnover at store number 9. Not unusual on its own, but this location, tucked into a busy strip in Indianapolis, had gone through 4 chefs in 10 months. Complaints were vague: low morale, staff not sticking around, kitchen heat. Landon hated vague. He didn't know any of the staff personally. All hires had been handled by the district manager and store-level leadership. That was the problem. He was too far removed now. So he booked a nearby hotel, created a fake resume under the name Eric, and got himself hired as a trainee line cook. It was a corporate location like the others, and no one questioned his identity. Most of the employees had never even seen his face. Landon had always kept a low profile in media and avoided putting his photo on press releases. Inside the kitchen, the smell of grilled onions and sizzling oil hit him hard. It was louder than he remembered, orders being called out, timers buzzing, pans clanging. He jumped into training with a wiry guy named Cody who looked barely old enough to drive. "Keep up, man," Cody said, sliding a tray of frozen patties onto the grill. "Lunch rush is a beast here." Landon nodded and followed, quietly observing everything around him. The chef, a stocky man named Ray, barked orders from the expo line. His face was flushed, voice sharp. "Move your hands, not your mouths." Ray snapped. "And wipe that damn counter, Maggie, it looks like a pigsty." Maggie looked maybe 19. Her eyes flinched at his tone, but she said nothing. Landon noticed her wince when she bent down to grab a pan. She limped slightly. He leaned toward her. "You okay?" She stiffened. "I'm fine." Later, they were on a 5-minute breakout back. Maggie slowly lowered herself onto a milk crate and Landon sat next to her. "You're limping," he said gently. She glanced toward the door. "It's my ankle. I rolled it last week. Thought it'd heal up, but it still hurts. You should be off your feet." She shook her head. "Ray said if I called off again, I'd be cut from the schedule." Landon tried to keep his face neutral. "That doesn't seem right." Maggie stared straight ahead. "Last girl who needed time off for her wrist gone. Just like that. Chef doesn't care. He says, if you can walk, you can work." Landon clenched his jaw. His stomach turned. Over the next 2 days, he saw more signs. A dishwasher named Leo came in with a bandaged hand, sliced it on broken glass. Ray saw it and said, "You got another hand, don't you?" Leo didn't argue. He just kept scrubbing dishes, flinching every time soap hit the cut. On day 3, it got worse. They were in the middle of dinner rush. Landon was flipping burgers when he saw Cody drop a knife. It bounced off the prep table and sliced the top of his thumb. Blood started dripping down his arm. "Hey!" Landon shouted. "You okay?" Cody grabbed a towel and wrapped it around his hand. "I'll be fine, just keep going." Ray stormed over. "What the hell's going on?" "He cut himself," Landon said. "He needs to get looked at." Ray's face hardened. "You don't pull out of line during rush. You tape it and move on." Landon stared at him. "He's bleeding." Ray stepped in close. "You knew here or just soft?" That was it. Landon walked with Cody to the back. Cody looked pale and shaken. "Why didn't you say something?" Landon asked. "I need the hours," Cody whispered. "He's got the schedule locked. You piss him off, you don't work." That night, Landon sat alone in his hotel room, staring at his reflection. He felt sick. How had this culture crept in under his nose? He'd built this company on decency, on taking care of people who worked hard. Now, one of his kitchens felt like a sweatshop. He took out a notebook and started writing down names. Maggie, Cody, Leo. Tomorrow, he'd be back on the line one last time. and then he'd end it. The next morning, Landon returned to the kitchen 15 minutes early. The back hallway lights hadn't even flickered on yet. He leaned against the prep table and listened. Faint humming came from the walk-in. A moment later, Leo stepped out, arms full of sauce containers. His bandaged hand was now covered with a plastic glove stained at the edges. "You always in this early?" Landon asked. Leo jumped a little. "Yeah. Ray wants the sauces stocked before anyone else clocks in. Says it saves time during prep." Landon checked the clock. "You're not even punched in." Leo hesitated. "Doesn't matter. He checks time cards. If you log in early, he shaves it off. Says it's rounding." Landon didn't reply. He helped stack the containers on the low fridge shelf. The air in the kitchen felt different before the others arrived, quieter, without the tension pressed into every movement. By 7:30, the rest of the crew filtered in, yawning and stretching. Maggie walked in with a compression wrap around her ankle and a brace on her wrist. She didn't look at anyone. Just tied her apron and went straight to the prep sink. Ray arrived 10 minutes later, whistling to himself. He tossed his bag in the corner, grabbed a clipboard, and started checking inventory without acknowledging anyone. "Cody late?" he muttered. "He texted the group chat," Maggie said. "He's at urgent care. Got a shot for the cut." Ray grunted. "If he's not here by 11, I'm cutting his weekend." Landon kept his head down, washing lettuce beside a quiet girl named Priya. She hadn't spoken much since he'd started, but had the fastest hands in the kitchen. Her station was spotless, her knife work precise. Today, though, she seemed distracted, slicing unevenly, checking her phone between batches. "You good?" Landon asked. She looked at him, startled. "Yeah, I'm waiting to hear if my sister's okay. She got stuck on the highway last night. Car overheated." "You told Ray?" Priya shook her head. "Why would I? He'll just say, 'We're not a daycare.'" Landon saw her hand tremble as she picked up the knife again. He moved beside her and said nothing more. Sometimes silence says enough. Around mid-morning, the district manager, a man named Trent, walked in. Tall, with polished loafers and a company fleece, he glanced around and headed straight for Ray. They spoke quietly near the dry storage, glancing toward the crew occasionally. Their conversation lasted less than 5 minutes. Trent walked out without speaking to anyone else. Ray came back with a clipboard and started shifting names on the schedule. "All right," he barked. "New week starts Monday. Some of you are getting your hours cut. Budget's tight, so we're trimming fat." Maggie looked up. "But we're already short." "Then work smarter, not longer." Ray scribbled something, then looked up. "Priya, you're off Tuesday and Wednesday now. I requested Tuesday because of my night class. But I need Wednesday. Not my problem. You want hours, be flexible." She opened her mouth, then closed it. Landon watched her shoulders tighten. "Leo," Ray continued, "I'm cutting your Thursday. No overtime this week." Leo nodded slowly. "Okay." Maggie glanced at Landon. "He didn't even ask if we could trade. Just decides." Landon didn't answer. He was watching Priya, who had stepped into the walk-in. Through the glass window, he saw her press her palm to her face and turn away. Lunch rush began shortly after. Orders stacked fast: double cheeseburgers, loaded fries, chicken club wraps. Priya moved mechanically, her usual sharpness gone. She dropped a pan of prep tomatoes and flinched when it hit the floor. Ray saw. "You want to pay for that?" "It slipped," she said, crouching to clean it. "Then slow down. You're costing me money." Landon stepped in. "I've got more tomatoes. I'll grab them." Ray gave him a glance. "You're not here to rescue people. Stay on your station." Landon paused. "I thought we were a team." "We are. I lead, you follow." No one spoke after that. The tension settled like grease on the air. At 3, Maggie's ankle gave out. She was carrying a full tray of buns when her foot twisted. The tray clattered to the floor and she landed hard on her hands and knees. Ray didn't move. "Get up." She tried but winced, gripping her ankle. "I can't. It's worse than before." Ray rolled his eyes. "Then sit." "But if you're not on the line by 4, I'm marking it as a no-show." Landon stepped in front of her. "She can't walk." Then she doesn't work here. Landon's voice dropped. You're firing her for getting hurt on the job? Ray crossed his arms. I'm running a kitchen, not a hospital. That was enough. Landon looked around the room. Everyone stepped back. Now. They froze. Ray stared. What are you doing? Landon pulled off his cap. Then the glasses. Then the beard. Silence. Maggie's eyes widened. Priya let the lettuce in her hands drop to the counter. Leo backed up against the sink. Ray blinked. What the hell is this? I'm Landon Foster, he said. I own this company. Nobody moved. Ray opened his mouth, but Landon cut him off. You're finished here. You've created a hostile, unsafe, and abusive environment. You're done. Now. Ray tried to laugh. You can't just walk in here and I can. And I just did. He turned to the crew. I've watched you work through pain, disrespect, and fear. That ends today. Ray started to protest again, but Landon pointed to the door. Leave. Now. Ray's face turned red, but he didn't argue. He grabbed his bag and stormed out. Landon turned back to Maggie, who was still on the floor. He crouched beside her. You're going to a doctor. Company's covering it. And you'll be on paid leave until you're cleared. Her voice was barely audible. You're serious? Dead serious. He stood and faced the others. No more threats. No more fear. You're not numbers on a spreadsheet. You're people. And I failed you by not being here sooner. Nobody said anything for a long moment. Then Priya stepped forward. Does this mean we can report things without getting cut from the schedule? Yes. Starting now, there's a direct line to me. No filtering through people like Ray. Leo raised his hand slightly. What about ours? We can't lose more. You won't. I'll adjust the labor budget. But I need your help to figure out what's broken and how to fix it. They nodded slowly, tentatively, as if afraid to hope. Landon looked around. The kitchen wasn't loud anymore. It wasn't frantic. It was quiet but not empty. There was something else here now. A shift. A breath. He picked up the clipboard Ray had left behind and tore it in half. Then he said, all right. Let's fix this together. The next morning, Landon arrived early again, this time without the disguise. He wore a plain black polo with the company logo stitched on the chest and jeans still stained from the line the day before. He didn't bring an assistant or a clipboard. Just a notebook and a quiet determination. The kitchen was already humming with low conversation when he stepped in. Leo was prepping onions at the back counter. Priya stood at the slicer, focused. Nobody stopped working when they saw him, but the air was different, less guarded. Maggie wasn't there. He'd arranged for her to rest while the company's workers' comp team scheduled a proper medical exam. Landon nodded to each person as he passed, then walked through the swinging doors into the office. It was cramped, barely enough room for a desk, 2 chairs, and a filing cabinet. Trent, the district manager, was waiting, arms crossed, leaning against the desk like he owned the place. You pulled the trigger fast yesterday, Trent said, not looking up. Landon shut the door behind him. Ray's behavior was inexcusable. He's done. Trent sighed through his nose. You know how hard it is to keep a kitchen staffed right now? We don't have a bench deep enough to replace guys like him overnight. Guys like him are exactly who we need to stop relying on. Trent finally looked at him. You're reacting emotionally. I get it, you went undercover, saw some rough stuff, I'm sure it felt dramatic. But this is still a numbers game. These people aren't going to respect you just because you showed up with a hairnet and a fake name. They already respected me more than they ever did you. Trent straightened. I've been hitting your targets for over 2 years. At what cost? He didn't answer. Landon laid the notebook on the desk and opened it. I've got names, dates, and patterns of abuse that occurred under your watch. You either didn't know or you knew and ignored it. Trent narrowed his eyes. You're not firing me. I'm not, Landon said. You're resigning. Today. Or I take this to HR with a formal complaint and let them handle it their way. Either way, you're finished. Trent's face darkened, but he said nothing as he picked up his coat from the back of the chair. You're going to regret this when your numbers dip. They already were. After the door clicked shut behind him, Landon exhaled slowly and returned to the kitchen. The crew didn't ask where Trent went. They had their guesses. Instead, Priya looked up from her station. Was that the district guy? Landon nodded. He's moving on. Leo stirred a pot of chili. So, what happens now? I'm bringing in someone to help us reset. Her name's Dana. She's one of the regional trainers. She's worked every station in the company and she knows how to lead without stepping on people. Priya wiped her hands on a towel. She gonna be another clipboard manager? No. She's already in the back unloading food trucks. That turned a few heads. Landon walked to the dry storage area. Dana was stacking boxes of condiments, sleeves rolled up, clipboard nowhere in sight. She didn't stop when he entered. Need a hand? He asked. Only if you're stronger than you look. Back in the kitchen, Landon gathered the staff. Listen, he said. This place needs more than a new chef. It needs a culture reset. That starts with listening to every one of you. We're not going to fix it in a day, but we are going to fix it. Dana stepped beside him. I'll be working with you through the next 2 weeks. I'm not here to judge anyone. I'm here to learn what you've been dealing with and help us build something that doesn't burn people out. A short, older line cook named Matteo raised his hand. Are we allowed to talk about hours? Schedules? Dana nodded. Absolutely. I want one-on-one time with everyone. We'll go over schedules, breaks, and anything else you're not getting that you should be. She handed out sign-up sheets for private check-ins over the next few days, then stepped back to let them return to work. Landon stayed to observe. He didn't jump in unless asked. He saw Priya adjust her pace and start coaching the newer prep cook beside her. Leo asked Dana to look at the dish area layout, and within 10 minutes they'd rearranged the drying racks to cut 5 steps off every wash cycle. Matteo asked if they could get a second fryer basket to split call-ins during rush. Dana wrote it down without making promises. Things weren't fixed, but they were moving. Later that afternoon, as the lunch crowd died down, Landon sat with Cody in the break room. His bandaged thumb rested on a paper cup filled with ice water. I didn't think you were serious yesterday, Cody said. I figured I'd come back and still be stuck under Ray. You're not. You're part of the rebuild. Cody leaned back in his chair. I just wanted to cook. You know? I didn't think I'd have to fight for basic stuff. You shouldn't have to. Cody looked at him. Is this gonna stick? Or is it just a show until things settle? It's not a show, Landon said. But it'll only stick if we're honest. If something's not working, I need to hear it. Even if it's uncomfortable. Cody nodded slowly. All right, then here's something. We don't have enough people. We're covering for 2 open spots every shift. That's why people get burned out. Landon didn't flinch. I know. I've already started running new job posts, but I'm not hiring fast. I'm hiring, right? Just don't bring in another Ray. I won't. Back on the floor, Dana was walking with Priya through a new prep checklist she drafted that morning. Priya pointed to a section. This part here? It's good, but we need a buffer time. Sometimes the meat doesn't come in until after 10. Dana nodded. Thanks. Let's adjust it now. Landon watched from the side, saying nothing. He didn't need to control the moment. He just needed to protect it. By 5, the dinner shift was ramping up. A new temp cook named Devante had joined the line. Dana stayed close to him, guiding but not hovering. When he dropped a ladle, she handed him another without comment. No scolding. No sarcasm. Just forward motion. At 6, Landon sat in the office and pulled up the store's recent feedback logs. For the first time in weeks, there were no notes about missing items or long waits. No complaints about rude service. Just a short message from a customer named Linda. Whoever made my burger tonight nailed it. The girl at the counter smiled at me like I mattered. Haven't felt that in a long time. He closed the file and looked out the office window at the kitchen. They were still moving fast. Still under strain. But they moved like people who had a reason again. Not just a paycheck, but a place. He stayed until closing, helping mop the back hallway and take out trash. When the last light went off, he locked the door himself. Tomorrow, there would be more work. Hiring. Training. Listening. But tonight, for the first time in months, the store didn't feel broken. It felt like something worth rebuilding. And that was enough for now. 2 weeks later, the rhythm of the store had changed, but not by magic. The pace was still tough. The kitchen was still hot, but things moved with more clarity, more structure, and most importantly, without fear. The damage done under Ray and Trent hadn't vanished, but it had stopped spreading. Now every day was about repair. Landon returned on a Wednesday morning, unannounced but recognizable this time. The crew didn't freeze when they saw him. They acknowledged him with brief nods and got back to work. He wasn't a mystery anymore. He was part of the environment, not above it. In the corner of the kitchen, Dana stood beside Mateo, walking him through a new inventory tracking app she'd helped roll out. He tapped the screen with a cautious finger. "So this adjusts in real time when we scan the deliveries?" Dana nodded. "And it flags anything that drops below your par level. No more guessing what you're short on." Mateo nodded slowly. "This'll save me at least 20 minutes every morning. Maybe more if you let me show you how to batch upload." Landon stepped past them and into the prep area, where Priya was training a new hire named Tasha. Tasha was quiet, focused, and careful with her knife work, but not slow. Priya leaned in close without lowering her voice. "See how the slices are clean? That's because she's holding the tomato like this, not like a tennis ball. Keep that hand curved." Tasha adjusted her grip and nodded once. Landon watched without interrupting. Priya noticed and gave him a look that wasn't quite a greeting, more an acknowledgement. He waited until the tray was full before speaking. "You look more at ease," he said. Priya wiped her hands on her apron. "I'm still tired, but I don't dread walking in anymore. Fair trade. Getting there." Landon glanced around. "Anything still off?" Priya hesitated. "The delivery guy's still showing up late. 2 days in a row this week. I'll talk to logistics." She gave a short nod and returned to slicing. Landon stepped aside to let them work. Out in the dining area, Dana was conducting her final one-on-one for the week. Cody sat across from her, not in his usual hoodie, but in a clean black T-shirt with the company logo pinned to the sleeve. His thumb had mostly healed, though a faint scar remained. "I heard you've been helping train on grill," Dana said. "Just the new guy. He's decent. Picks things up fast. You comfortable with that responsibility?" Cody shrugged. "Yeah. I mean, I'm not trying to be a manager or anything." Dana leaned forward. "We're not asking you to be. But we are looking for a shift lead. Someone who understands the pressure, who doesn't lose their cool. You've been through the worst of it and stayed steady." Cody stared at the table. "I didn't feel steady. You didn't fold. That matters." He took a slow breath. "If I say yes, what changes? You get a pay bump, input on the schedule, and direct line to me. No extra hours unless you want them. Just more say in how things run." Cody didn't answer right away. Then, "I'll try it. But if it starts to feel like before, I'm out." Dana nodded. "Fair." Back in the kitchen, Landon joined Leo near the dish station, where the new drying rack layout had shaved time off every cycle. Leo was moving more fluidly now, his bandaged hand gone, replaced by a thin scar. "How's the rhythm now?" Landon asked. Leo nodded toward the sink. "Better. I don't have to sprint to stay caught up." "And the new guy helping?" "Yeah. Devontae's solid. Doesn't talk much, but that's fine. He moves." Landon watched for a beat. "You ever think about cross-training up front?" Leo raised an eyebrow. "Me? Front of house. Why not? I don't exactly look like the guy people want to see when they walk in." Landon's tone didn't change. "What does that mean?" Leo kept scrubbing. "You know, big guy, sleeves, rough face. Some people make assumptions." Landon crossed his arms. "We don't hire for smiles. We hire for presence. You've got that. Want to try it out a few shifts a week?" Leo didn't look away from the sink. "Sure, I'll try." Landon clapped him gently on the shoulder. "That's all I ask." Later that afternoon, Landon held a brief staff meeting. No suits, no announcements, just a circle around the prep table after the lunch rush had ended. "I wanted to say this in person," he began. We've had hard weeks. What I saw when I came in was unacceptable. What you endured was worse. But what we've done since is something I'm proud of. No one interrupted. Even the timers were silent for once. I'm not here to celebrate early. We still have work to do. We're still understaffed, and I know some of you are carrying extra weight. But you've shown what this place can be when people are treated with basic decency and when they hold each other up. He looked around the room, meeting each pair of eyes. Starting next week, we're rolling out 2 things. First, all hourly employees across the company will receive paid sick time, no questions asked. If you're hurt or sick, you stay home. Full stop. That got a few raised brows. Second, we're launching an internal reporting system. If something's wrong, you go there. Comes directly to me and 2 people in HR I trust. No middlemen. No retaliation. Ever. Mateo crossed his arms. That gonna apply to the other stores too? Landon nodded. Every store. No exceptions. Dana stepped forward. Also, we're creating a peer council, 3 employees from different roles, rotated every 6 months. They'll have input on policies, training, and hiring. We want to build with you, not just around you. Priya's voice was quiet but firm. What if we don't want to rotate out? Dana smiled. Then we'll find ways to keep you involved without burning you out. Landon added, this isn't about checking boxes. It's about keeping the foundation solid. As the meeting broke up, Devante approached Landon near the fryer. Can I ask something? Shoot. Why'd you come here? Like, really come undercover? Landon didn't answer right away. I stopped paying attention, he said finally. Started trusting reports instead of people. Thought if the numbers looked good, everything else was fine. Devante nodded slowly. Guess they weren't. No. But they will be. That night, after close, Landon stayed behind with Dana to do a final walkthrough. The back office was cleaner. The team board had new notes, pinned shift trades, thank you messages, even a birthday reminder for Maggie, who'd be returning next week on light duty. Dana leaned against the doorframe. You ready to let go of this store again? Not completely, Landon said. But I'll get out of their way. You'll check in. Not with a clipboard. Dana turned off the lights behind them as they stepped out. Outside, Leo and Cody were locking the dumpster gate. Priya was waiting for a ride, chatting with Tasha. Devante held the door for Mateo, who was stretching his back with a groan. They didn't look perfect. They looked tired. But they also looked whole. As Landon climbed into his car, he looked back at the building, just bricks and glass and metal, but no longer hiding anything. The damage had been real. The healing would be slow. But the rot was cut out. The work was honest. And the people inside were finally safe to do what they were hired to do, show up, work hard, and be treated like they mattered. That was enough. And it was only the beginning.